Welcome to Gray Overload. I'm Anthony, and Nvidia has came out with an update to their power connector of the RTX 4090, that 16-pin power connector. And they, as we take a look here, they have an update, and they are still actively investigating the reports, and they're aware of the 50 cases globally. And their findings to the data suggest common use that connectors are not fully plugged into the graphics card. And to help ensure the connectors are secure, we recommend plugging in the dongle into the graphics card first to ensure it is firmly and evenly plugged in before plugging it into the graphics card into the motherboard. So outside the case, hook it all up and then plug it in. And so they have two pictures here of where it's not fully seated in, and then you have the fully seated in one. And here they said they're investigating additional ways to ensure that the connector is secure before powering on the graphics card. And then it goes on to states, and I think that this is maybe their best line of the entire thing. Nvidia and our partners are committed to supporting our customers and ensuring an expedited RMA process regardless of the cable or card used. So if you were to use a third-party cable, just make sure it was a third-party cable that I would suggest make sure that it follows the PCIe 5.0 spec for these cards, and if it still has a problem, the warranties and RMAs will be processed. That's a good thing. I think that's a good move by Nvidia. I'm glad they didn't say, they didn't go on and say, here's a list of approved cables or anything else, right? The free market in there, let that take care of itself. As long as they're all PCI 5.0 16-pin cables and qualified for that, they should be all the same quality. Should. I highlight that. Now, this, while while they're saying they didn't fully come out and say it was user error, they came out and said uh, it's not fully plugged into the graphics card is a common issue. So my take on this is, while I consider this more maybe a design flaw than a user error. While user error may be the outcome of it, the design flaw or manufacturing of how that connector connects in is something we have to kind of look at. And the reason why I kind of go down that line is that we've never had this multitude of news, and maybe it's just in the time we're in, but with other connectors um, out there, right? If you remember the Molex ones, a 4-pin connector, those were just notorious for, you have to move around the uh, wires just to be able to make sure it slots in correctly and fits in all the way, right? We've had these things. SATA slides in and you kind of know where that's always seated in. You have 8 pins, which never, I believe that there was some 8-pin stuff early on, but that was fixed out, and there was always a, easy way to know, am I fully seated in there? So I would not be surprised if this becomes a second generation or an increment on this cable to help ensure that it is seated in there properly. Who knows if that's going to be? I'm guessing that the PCI 5.0 power connector spec will get updated if that's the case, right? We've already seen some of that there. Now, is this the only failure for this power connector? Gamers Nest did some stuff. I encourage you to go take a look at their video. There could be still other things, right? I'm not going to throw away. This is a brand new connector, so I'm not going to throw away. There could be other aspects of this that could cause problems. But it looks like Nvidia is looking into it. It looks like, they're aware about 50 cases globally, so not a huge percentage. Is that everything? We don't know yet. But I would encourage you all to make sure that if you have a 4090, make sure it's completely seated in there. Double check. Gamers Nexus goes through, and if you have the card out right, they can even show in their latest video today, seat it all the way down, press it all the way down, and make sure that it is fully in the card. We don't want anybody's 4090s to have a melting issue. And this power connector, one, we don't want to see you out without a card gaming. That's kind of sucks, especially with holidays coming up here. and shipping's going to be hit and miss. I mean, it already is hit and miss where I live, so I don't want you to have to go through that. But uh, yeah, there's still, I still think there's questions out there. It seems like that Nvidia is still looking into additional ways to at least secure the connector. I would not be surprised if they're still looking into additional ways of to why this is a problem to begin with. Uh, right, there could be other aspects to this, but make sure it's plugged in correctly, and that'll go there. Right, I'm inter- I like to have a 4090 or 4080 just to see this connector of how it connects versus the 8 pins, right? To me, I probably have a better understanding then of why this is the case, but they're a little bit out of the money I want to spend right now for a card. No shocker there. But this is something that I think we're going to still. I know Gamers Nexus is putting it down and stuff, but something to keep your eye on, just to see. I believe my thought is once the dust all settles, there will be a slight revision to this connector to make sure that if when the next generation cards come out, this will not be an issue, right? Last thing Nvidia wants to have, or even AMD, is have another release of a graphics card, another, even if it's, let's say, a 4090 Ti, they might even do it by then, who knows, and there's still an issue, right? And then people are melting. That would really put this connector in not good light going forward. So that's kind of my take on it. Quick little take here of the power connector update. But I thought if you have one of these cars, or if you're interested in them and you want to keep up to date on this, you should have it. Let me know your thoughts on this. I'm a little surprised it wasn't also something else with this power connector, and just it was the plugging into the graphics card. But time will tell. Who knows? So with that, leave your comments below, questions below, and until next time, I want to say thank you guys for helping support Gray Overload and helping this channel grow. I really appreciate it. Until next time, God bless, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.